Hi, I am Nitin Kumar, your mentor for international relations. As you know, international relations is one of the part of the GS paper second of UPSC main syllabus. In the GS paper second, we have a Indian polity, international relations, governance and social justice. Now, in this lecture, we are going to discuss about syllabus, references, previous year question and the weightage this international relations used to get into the GS paper and even into the international relations syllabus. What are the topics which used to get which kind of weightage in the previous year right from the 2013 to 2019. Okay, as you know, in 2013 there is a change in the syllabus of UPSC mains examination now. So the very first question at the very onset of this lecture is what is international relations. As far as the international relations is concerned, it is known by different names: international studies, global affairs, and it has an interdisciplinary approach. So to understand international relations, little bit idea of the history, idea of the geography, idea of economics, polity, international law is necessary, and certainly we are going to cover up all the dimensions here in this class and coming lectures, by the way. So as far as international relations is concerned and its definition is concerned, it depends upon the institution and what are the approach there. So for the political science, it can be different thing. For another interdisciplinary academic field, it can be another thing. So it is also related to the global studies and it is an independent academic discipline also. So it all depends upon the academic institutions. But as far as the UPSC syllabus is concerned, and before that I will certainly like to give you the graphics here so that you can understand the weightage of the different section of the IR. Now so we have mainly four sections. First one is the neighbors, second one is the non-neighbors and the diaspora, and third one the institution, groups and agreements. Now although this neighbor is altogether different one and non-neighbors we will talk about, that is the second part, and the diaspora is the third part, and fourth part is the institution, groups and agreement. So as you can see from this graphics, you can understand the things keeps on changing from 2013 onwards. From the neighborhood relationship, questions are now being asked more from the institution, groups and agreement. So this IR is quite a dynamic one. So you can see in 2013 from the neighbors we have a 50 marks question and 10 marks question from the non-neighbors or diaspora, and institution and groups and agreement 10 marks question. Okay, so the weightage keep on changing, and once we move from 2013 to 2019, right from the 50 marks question in 13, now it is just 10 marks question from the neighborhood. But this neighborhood relation has a different parts, by the way. Certainly we will talk later on about the India, China, India, Myanmar. Okay. Next one is a non-neighbors and the diaspora. Here we will talk about the Indian diaspora, and side by side we will talk about the India USA relation, India Europe relationship, and India Africa relationship, and India ASEAN relationship. Certainly we will talk about this, and then the institution, groups and agreement. Here we are going to talk about the ASEAN, we are going to talk about the BIMSTEC, NAM and all United Nations and United Nations Security Council. Particularly we are going to emphasize more on that particular. And beside that, you have to understand this IR is quite dynamic in nature. So let's move. So as I told you, it is a part of the GS paper second, and the questions related to the international relations are generally based on the current development. It is based on the current development. Certainly we are going to focus on that part of the current development, how dynamic it is, and what are the resources we should go for. So which have an Indian interest angle on it. Therefore, candidate must regularly update themselves on those international issues in which India has a role or interest. I am just giving you the example of day before yesterday, and as you know, some of the protesters stormed the Capitol or the Congress. Once the Congress of the USA was going to endorse the victory of the Joe Biden, and this event actually became a event of a international level. What China is saying that look, whatever is happening in the Hong Kong is a similar thing, but there you are saying that it is a supporters of the democracy, but what you are saying in the USA. So the French president, the UK Prime Minister, everyone has given the statement there. Certainly our Prime Minister has also given the statement, and it has gone at the international level. So everything, whatever is happening, okay, what can be its implication on the other country or the relationship, we are going to discuss and we have to cover. Okay, now, so to sum up this paper analysis, candidates who are conceptually strong in the Indian polity, and constitution, including governance, would have an advantage. So as I told you earlier, look, we require to have a basic understanding of Indian constitution, international law, and what are the structure of different international organization, the politics there at international level. Okay, why any country is supporting other country. Okay, just take the example of Quad. Okay, this is a structure or international structure which is against China. Okay, India, Australia, UK and Japan actually came together to counterbalance China. So it is quite in dynamic nature. That is one thing you have to understand. Now, so regarding international relation, candidate must always be mindful of the Indian role or interest in the current international development. So if India does not have any role to play in that particular current development or in that particular institution or the basic problem related to that, in that case you do not have to go for such topic, by the way. Okay, even you are covering the current. Now, even the social justice and all the topics are interlinked here. So one by one we are going to discuss about the different topics here. At first, the topic is the India and its neighborhood. So okay, India and its neighborhood. We have China, India and China, India Pakistan, India Myanmar, India Bhutan, India Sri Lanka, India Afghanistan, India Nepal, India Bangladesh, India Maldives. Okay, so we have to cover all these things. Just wait. Now let's see, if you go for India and China, okay, it has got the different dimension. Right from the border issue, here we are going to discuss about the development in the Galwan. Okay, development in the Galwan Valley. So now that is the border dispute. Okay, next one is the Tibet issue. The third one, Taiwan issue. Next is the OBOR. Okay, how this OBOR is like a economic hegemony. China is trying to create through this OBOR, and how ambitious this project is and what implication it could have on the India-China relationship. Beside that, the water sharing issue. In the water sharing issue, we are going to talk about the run of the river water hydroelectricity generation, and there is a bending of the Brahmaputra also. So how it is going to have a effect on the natural resources India could have now. So beside that, India, China and the USA, certainly, as you know, India is now tilting towards the USA, and that is one of the problematic area for the China to have a good relationship with India. Okay, so if India is looking towards the USA, certainly China is making a good relationship with the USA, with the Pakistan, with the Russia. Now, next we will talk about the nuclear supplier group issue. Next, Masood Azhar issue and China's expanding footprint in the Indian Ocean region, how it is going to be. Certainly we are going to discuss about the string of pearls and how in Djibouti China is making their military base and what effect it could have, okay, for the India and Africa relationship now. So India, China and BRICS and the SCO. So both India and China are member of the BRICS and SCO. So certainly there are some point of convergence also and many point of divergence also. So we are going to discuss that now. So this way, India and its neighbor. Let's see. In 2016, question was asked in 2016, increasing cross-border terrorist attack in India and growing interference in the internal affairs of the several member states by Pakistan are not conducive for the future of SAARC. Explain with a suitable example. Now, in this question, you have to understand how India-Pakistan relation have an effect on the SAARC. Why SAARC became defunct? Okay, what are things required to make it workable? Now, just to give this answer, you have to give the suitable example also, because it has been specifically mentioned in this question. So let's see what can be the model answer and what we should take care of in this question. So as far as this question is concerned, as we know, the SAARC was founded in 1985 and efficacy of it has been limited. Okay, why the efficacy of the SAARC has been limited? Because the tension or disagreement between India and Pakistan. Now, we can say the SAARC became defunct and dysfunctional also. Okay, so why so? Just the example the question is looking for. As we know, in the aftermath of the Uri attack, what happened? Indian government strongly condemned Pakistan, and what was the strategy at that time? To isolate Pakistan at the international level and shame Pakistan on a different international fora. So what was the implication of this attack on the SAARC? In 2016, 19th summit of the SAARC has to be cancelled because India pulled out from the SAARC summit. It was to be held in the Islamabad. And beside that, in the support of India, some of our neighbors of Afghanistan, Bhutan, Bangladesh did the same. Okay, so India has done this because India want to give a tough message that look, terror and talks can't go hand in hand. Okay, either you have to go, you are going for the terror, we are not going to accept the proposal for the talk or the continuity of the talk. Now, next point is what India want to show at that time, that look, we can go SAARC minus Pakistan. Okay, so India started ignoring Pakistan. Let's see the next point here. Now the question arises that could there be another strategy required at that time? Now, so it can be better address South Asian challenges because civil military dissonance on the Pakistan policy towards India. In the Time magazine, in one of the articles, it has been said that look, Pakistan depends upon the 3A: Allah, America and army. So as far as India is concerned, Pakistan policy towards India is certainly guided by and controlled by army and some of the non-state actors also, because they do not want to have a smooth relationship. Now, so this dissonance between the army and the civil politician in Pakistan actually guides Pakistan policy towards India. And Pakistan geostrategic position is a very, very vital even for India. Try to understand both the pros and cons. Okay, because if you want to relate our relationship with the Central Asia and the Southeast Asia, certainly Pakistan has got the centrality due to its geographical location. So that is the one point. Next point, Pakistan stumbling block is the economic integration of the South Asian region. Okay, even Pakistan was not integrating itself with the Southeast Asian region, with the SAARC countries. Now Islamabad all of a sudden used to pull out from the agreement which is about to be signed. Okay, and due to the reason of the trade liberalism, cross border trade in the energy and the BBI agreement, all these are example that Pakistan pulled out from. Now, so what India is looking for? Certainly India is giving more importance to the BIMSTEC, and BIMSTEC, as you know, the Bay of Bengal is initiative for the multi-sectoral technical and economic cooperation, BIMSTEC. Now, instead of focusing on the SAARC, India is focusing on the BIMSTEC so that they can sideline the Pakistan. Okay, so that is the one thing. And the strategy is that once Pakistan is isolated, and once we can curb the terrorism at the proxy war by Pakistan, it can lead to the a good relationship between India and Pakistan. That is one thing. So until and unless Pakistan is going to be curbed for the terrorist activities, which is state sponsored also. Okay, Pakistan is giving a push to the non-state actors. The relationship between India and Pakistan is never going to be a good. Okay, and until unless a good relationship between India and Pakistan, we can't imagine a SAARC as a functional organization. Take the example of the SAFTA. Okay, the free trade agreement. It has to be operational in 2020. Okay, but it never happened, because India and Pakistan have a shore relation and it has a larger implication on the shark. So that is one thing. Next, now the question arises, what are the sources we should use? I am just giving you the reference of two books, either Challenge and Strategy Rethinking India's Foreign Policy by Rajiv Sikri, or International Relation by Pavneet Singh. Okay, publication McGraw-Hill. Other sources we have to consult, because the international relations syllabus is quite a dynamic one. Once we go through the previous question, Sahwag Esquire is one of the topic asked, and what Sahwag Esquire protest can have an implication on the India-Bangladesh relation. So certainly we have to take care of all these things. So the next source I am giving you here, The Hindu. So editorial from Monday to Saturday. If it is related to IR, you must go through, because it will give the basics also, what are the problem and what could be the challenges and way out. That is the beauty of the Hindu's editorial from Monday to Saturday. And the World Affairs page. Okay, and beside that, on the Friday we have a parlays. In the parlays, there used to be a kind of interview with the 2 or 3 experts, and if it is related to IR, you must go through it. And on the Sunday we have a frequently asked question and the profile in the Hindu. And if it is related to IR, and almost every week you will find at least 1 or 2 articles related to IR, so you must go through it. And beside that, you have to go for the Indian Express editorial Monday to Saturday if it is related to the IR. And explained part is just like a frequently asked question. The analysis and explanation used to be very, very beautiful one. It is a very, very comprehensible. You can understand easily there. So these are the resources you have to take care. Next one is the World Focus. Okay, every month the World Focus magazine, you can have a good articles from here, and certainly I will incorporate all these things in your lecture, so don't worry about that. And articles related to IR in the Hindu or Indian Express, particularly in the on the editorial page or in the open editorial pages there, by G. Parsarthi, C. Raja Mohan, Suhasini Haider, Rakesh Shud, R. Brahmachalani, Happy Moon Jacob, Stanley Zoni. Okay. So beside that, the second part is related to the topic, and the topic is all about the bilateral, multilateral or regional and global groupings like SAARC, BIMSTEC, ASEAN Plus 6, Heart of the Asia Conference, Raisina Dialogue. Okay, so Missile Technology Control Regime, Australia Group, Wassenaar Agreement, all these things and what implication it could have on India and India's relationship with the other country. So as far as the bilateral grouping is concerned, specifically we have to focus on India-Japan, okay, India-Russia, India-US, India-Germany. So this part we have already taken care in the neighborhood relation. So India-South Africa, India-Vietnam, India-West Asia, India-East Asia. Okay, so West Asia is a very, very important because the relationship with the Iran, relationship with the Israel, relationship with the Qatar, Saudi Arabia, it will have an implication on India's foreign policy. We are going to discuss that. So as far as the global grouping is concerned, United Nations is first and foremost different agencies in that United Nations, different program run by the United Nations, and particularly we are going to focus on United Nations Security Council permanent membership issue, and what India is going for, what India is doing. Okay, so we will talk about the WTO and its issues, G20, Asian Development Bank, East Asia Summit, and more. And here in the regional group we have a SAARC, okay, IBSA, BRICS, BIMSTEC, ASEAN, and so many. Now try to understand. This part also we have to cover this part also we have to cover NAM, and the nuclear doctrine, Gujarat doctrine, Look East to the Act East policy. What is the major difference between the Look East and the Act East? How instead of focusing on the Myanmar, later on we are focusing Singapore for the way to the Asian countries. Now, so these are the things we have to take care. Okay, so some of the contemporary issue: One Belt, One Road, International North-South Transport Corridor, and how it is important for us to connectivity to the Central Asian countries like the Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan. Okay, so how we can go to the Afghanistan through this International North-South Transport Corridor, and how India's relationship will go for the betterment once we have a connectivity through the Chawar port. We are going to discuss all these things, and the global trade war, global currency war, Syrian crisis, United Nations reform, South China's conflict, and how China actually denied to accept the UN clause judgment or the permanent court of arbitration judgment according to the UN clause. The Brexit issue, certainly even it is quite in news, okay, because the deadline is was 31st December 2020, okay, in which either the Britain after the Brexit have to go for the deal or no deal agreement. Certainly it has a deal with the European Union, but not in the service sector, only in the goods. So deglobalization and protectionism, the USA, certainly the USA's policy towards the Islamic countries and the other international organization with the United Nations or the WHO or WTO is going to change once Biden will took administration on the 20th of January 2021. So we are going to cover all these topics, and certainly this IR has a dynamism attached to it, okay, and one of the section is Indian diaspora. So people of Indian origin, at first we will understand what is the people of Indian origin, NRI, PIO. We are going to understand what government of India is doing for the diaspora settled in the different part of the world. Now, so remittance we are getting from the Indian diaspora, and how important it is, and how India is at number one for getting remittance from Indian diaspora which are settled in the different part of world. And as far as you can see here, the UAE, most number of Indian diaspora is there. After that, the USA, then the Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Oman, UK and Qatar. So that is all from my side as far as the strategies and the syllabus are concerned related to IR. See you again in the next lecture. Take care. God bless all of you.